like to welcome everyone to the regular meeting, Moose Lake City Council for Wednesday, February 12th, 2020. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank our guests for being here today. Thank you. The first item is the agenda, additions and changes. We have a couple of requests under 4B, Public Works Superintendent Report. We'd like to add sidewalks and fire hydrants. Then under new business, 7F, under the police chief job description, add staffing. Then also under 7, this would be M, baseball nets. Do I have any other additions or changes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under consent agenda, it's number 2. The minutes for January 8th, 2020, Moose Lake City regular meeting minutes. Number 2, the January 8th, 2020 annual organizational meeting minutes. Number 3, the January 27th, 2020 special meeting minutes. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Hearing no questions or discussion, do I have a motion to accept the minutes? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under consent agenda 2B, the financial reports, we have the city accounts payable for January 2020. Number 2, the city financial statements for January 2020. Number 3, the liquor store profit loss statement for January 2020. Any questions or discussion on the financial reports?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Did you have a question? You wanted a confirmation on anything? Yours was answered previously. You're fine. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have now number 3, the public comment. This time is reserved for comments from the public on matters not listed on the agenda. Please keep comments to 3 minutes. Hearing none, we'll move on. Number 4, the department reports. Police Chief Department Report for January 2020.
Mayor, Council, you'll see in front of you, we got the police report from last month. We had 192 calls for service. We had 2 hours spent up at the MSOP and an hour with the Department of Corrections. And then we also had our monthly ECRC, which was 2 hours last month. We've had a couple of incidences in town. We had a vehicle stolen from up at the Minute Mart. We have it out on our webpage with some pictures, so I guess we also ask if anybody in the public recognizes anything in the photos or if they'd get in touch with us. And then also recently we had a burglary at one of our businesses. I was able to find some video footage on that I'm trying to gather right now, but that'll post out there too. And I'd like to ask the same thing up there, if anybody in the public hears anything or knows anything or recognizes anything, to give us a call at the police department.
Very good. Thanks for the good job. Please pass it on. Public Works Superintendent.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, very busy month. Not much for diversity though. All we did was push snow like crazy. We removed all the snow from all the right-of-ways from one end of town all the way to the other. And it was a big job, but we got it done and town's looking better and we're making more room for more snow, so. Water department, start there, 3.4 million gallons drinking water in the month of January. Currently, we do have 8 services that are running to prevent freezing. That is bumping us up a little bit, approximately an additional 270,000 gallons a month of extra usage there. So we'll see that number climb up here a little bit as this winter continues to go on and then spring comes. We'll be definitely battling that. Sewer department collected 13.5 million gallons of wastewater in the month of January. Treatment system that is shut down for the winter. Granted, the ponds are all still there and working, but we're just not treating anything, discharging anything, that kind of thing. Snow and ice removal, I talked about that with the right-of-ways. A lot of compaction on the roads. I know it's bumpy, I know it's rough, but it's extremely expensive to make them smooth in the wintertime. So I think we're just, if that's all right with you, we're just gonna deal with what we have and wait for spring, or address those issues as we need to. One thing I'm going to touch on, frozen water and sewer line policy. It's on our website. It's at City Hall. It's at the Public Works Garage. Anyone with any questions, please get a hold of someone, whether it's City Hall, the Public Works Department, anybody, because nobody wants your service froze up. Nobody wants that. It's a bad situation for everybody. Current frost depths are between 3.5 and 4 feet, which is quite a bit less than it was this time last year. However, like I said, we are to that point where people are getting very close to freezing up, and some services that are to the point where they would freeze up if they were to stop the flow of their water. So
Quick
that's all I
question.
have.
Where are we at with our materials for spreading on the road?
We're actually under budget for right now. We're actually looking very, very good. Yep. So I mean, we have a pretty decent reserve. Usually that gets about this time, we're sitting pretty good, and then it gets ate up in March usually. Typically where it sits. But as of right now, we're in good shape. So.
Okay. Could you hang on a minute?
Absolutely.
The council
Yep.
has
Yeah.
something you want to add in?
Yeah, with sidewalks, I've had a few people get a hold of me over the last few weeks about snow and ice being on the sidewalks. And I did have the police department send some letters to some of the businesses downtown here, and that they have removed the snow. But there's also a lot of ice on sidewalks that should be taken care of. It's, if you go ahead and shovel the sidewalk and there's still 2 inches of ice on there, it's not really getting where we want to be. We don't want to have people slipping and falling. And that, I just wanted to get it out to the public. They could put it in a newspaper, that it is up to the owners of the property to shovel their sidewalks and get the ice off of them. And there's one issue with the fire hydrants, which we discussed yesterday.
Yep.
With that, about half of the fire hydrants, or I don't know how many, but
147.
147 of them, and a lot of them are halfway buried. Some of them are buried in the snow, and with the snowbanks being icy, that is a problem with the fire department getting quick access to them. So another thing to the public and to the business owners, if you have a fire hydrant close to your property, on your property, you can do us a great favor by getting out there and trying to help us keep those fire hydrants open and for quick access for the fire department to be able to get to them. And then at our meeting at the fire department last night, there was some discussion about having the city mark those fire hydrants with a little steel pole that goes up on them with a little spring on them, so they can be located easier if they do get buried in the snow. I know that a few of them in town do have them,
Yep.
but I think generally most of them are don't have that, so I was wondering if that's something that the city could look into, having put on, you know, sometime in the summer or something like that.
I would love to have them all done.
Yeah, you know.
They are about $12 to $15 a hydrant to do.
Oh, okay, yep, I know, probably with plowing snow or blowing snow, you don't know where they're at, and you don't want to really run one of your equipment into there and do damage to it.
Yep.
But that's about all I had on sidewalks and fire hydrants.
Would you like me to put some sort of small detailed estimate to get all these done in
Yeah,
this week?
that would
for the
help
next
out to see
meeting?
what the cost
I can
is.
do that for sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Depending on the cost, we would look at it as a
Right.
budget item
Yep.
for next fall, or if our budget can support it, we'll.
Yep.
I know we did have some on there and some were broke off, and of course, that's gonna happen.
Correct.
But, yeah, you said there's 100 and,
There's 147 or there's 145, one or the other. It's on an Excel spreadsheet in my computer, so.
very,
Yeah, I wanted to thank Mike and Kathy too for getting those notices out in a timely manner. They acted on it real quick, you know, like, I think about 20 minutes after I was down there, they were already on it, so that was nice. Thank you.
thanks for the good job, and please pass it on to the staff. Thank you. Moving on to technology and library report.
I don't really have anything for the library aside from they just received a donation from the Lions Club to purchase their third public computer. So now all of the public computers will be updated, which is awesome. Technology, I have a meeting next week with them to hopefully schedule all of the replacement of the rest of our computers that need to be replaced, so.
Yeah, with the library, I guess they're gonna go with no more free movies. That wasn't working out, there wasn't enough people attending them, so they decided to cancel that.
Okay, very good. Council have any questions for technology library report? No, hearing none, moving on the city engineer report, that's starting on page 50, is that 6?
Nope, just 50.
50.
No, I don't have anything else to add aside from what's already in there. I have something a little bit later on, but.
As you read through that, if you have questions, please call the office and we'll get the answers to you. We do meet once a month, and Greg is at the meetings. I don't know if you have any more, Greg, to add to it?
No, they're just basically getting ready to start for the season.
Yeah, they want to put in the wells as soon as possible this coming spring.
Should start on the well in March. but-
Now,
It's a lot of prep work right now for getting the design for the wells in the well house, so that's primarily what they're working on right now.
the building that's on that property, that garage will have to be moved, which Katie is working on right now. And the wells will be done first, and they want to make sure that they have the capacity to do the job that the old wells were doing. So that'll be done first before any building project is done on the site, just to make sure that it's going to work there. And that's quite an endeavor, and it will take them all the way through till next, almost a year from when they start, to get that complete and the full cutover. So it's quite an undertaking there. There'll be a lot more information on it as we go through it. Again, as you read through the report, if you have questions, please call. Moving on to 4E, the Chamber of Commerce updates. Used to have Lois give those, but we don't have a rep here from the Chamber to give any updates. I didn't make the last meeting. Do you have anything you want to
I
add
didn't
to
make
it?
it there, but I think the ice bocce went well down in the park. There seemed to be a lot of interest in it down there this year. It was nice weather, a lot nicer than last year. I don't know how many people were down there, but, you know, there could have been a couple hundred people down there anyways. And the parking lot was full and it looked like everybody was having fun, so
Yeah.
that seemed like a pretty good success.
And they did change the date of the next meeting. It is not tomorrow. It is 19th at noon at Arts. So just for information. Any questions by the council? Hearing none, moving on. We have 6, we don't have a 5, so we'll go right to 6.
Oh. I don't know what happened there.
Think it's
I'm blaming it
5.
on Tim.
5 disappeared. We can blame Tim for 1 year, we're good for that. He's
Oh,
good for a
that's
year.
funny. I
but-
wonder how long that's been like that.
And number 6, this is previously discussed business. 6A is the cable TV updates. And Katie has some information for us.
So I put some things on your desk. The first 3 pages, these white pages, are the bank's financing options. 3, 4, and a 5-year. In your packet, there is the total cost of the project, which is $79,752 about, as well as the entire, all the details of it. And then I also included the Vantage Financial 3-year lease proposal in the packet. Rory had got a 4 and a 5-year lease option after I had already sent the packet out, so I printed a copy of that for you guys. From what I can see in the math that I've done, we get about $25,000 from the PEG fees from MediaCom every year. So I think a 3-year lease option would be a little bit too much for us to take on. I would say either a 4 or a 5-year lease option would be better. It just depends how long we want to spread it out.
Okay, so your recommendation
Is
would be
First National.
First National Bank,
Yep.
which is,
And that's the 5-year one?
Either the 4 or the 5.
Both.
Yeah, there's the 3-year one too, but I think that one's just too high of payments.
We get 25,000, you said?
Just about, yep. A little bit over that, but
the 5-year would give us more operating money during the year for other things to do. I kind of like the 5-year gives us more budget to do things as we go into this, because we may have some opportunities to do some really good stuff with this new equipment.
I would say the only thing that makes me nervous about a 5-year is that I don't want to get into the same situation that we are with the cameras, where we're kind of stuck in a 5-year. I know it's only one more year than a 4-year, but that's the only thing that makes me a little nervous of that.
Okay, we'd have almost 4,000 more a year to work with. Where, how does, let you get Rory, if he can come on a second. And we'll probably look at this as a 4 or 5-year. There's a difference of about 4,000 more available for stuff in a 5-year.
Well, because the other issue is the equipment in here.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of got it out. I mean, we're kind of making do, but it would be nice to get the stuff for broadcasting the council meetings back to where it was kind of. I mean, I think it kind of got gutted to kind of go digital, and then that didn't really work, so the quality, we're kind of suffering on our quality there, and even, you know, I'm having to take my camera to record it because we're having to put it on DVD, and then to get it onto YouTube from DVD, you have to re-render and things. If this passes with this new system, then we will be able to record the council meetings as part of the content that's gonna be part of the system, so that'll make that situation a little bit better, you know, right up front. But the other thing is that, you know, the possibility of needing a little bit of things at some of these other locations if we're gonna start pushing content, you know, like Augustana, the depot, you know, if we're gonna try to, now once we have a system that we can have content, and I guess that's why, you know, that's why I kind of put the priority on what we're looking at right here, because until we have a way to be able to deal with that content, it doesn't pay to push a content, because we've got the 5-disc player that's full right now, and that gets changed about every 3 days with new content on there. But this will allow us much more programming. I did have a chance to go up to Hibbing, who's got this system up and running. You know, they're a little bit bigger than us. They're running 3 stations like the PEG, you know, it's public access, education, and government. They are running 3 different stations, plus a video on demand, which is kind of an online station. We would still run our 2 stations, and probably do kind of a similar with Channel 7. What's nice with the digital messaging system is that what they do is they run their content so like they're either on the half hour or the hour, so in between that, they actually run the digital messaging on their other stations too, so we would have the option of being able to do that. Also, it would be available online, so any of that digital messaging stuff would actually be available online also. So there's a few different options we can go. I mean, we wouldn't have enough content to run 3 stations, but to have kind of what we're doing now where that digital messaging system becomes kind of a even heightened. I mean, we can have small video stuff on that. As I mentioned, and I think 1 or 2 of the previous meetings, that you know, my hope is to have somebody from the school, somebody from the depot, probably Augustana, have one of those slides on there where they can dial in and change content themselves. Because when I was up at Hibbing, they've got 3 people in the office along with the main man, and which, I mean, we're all doing by 1 person, plus they have a lot of content coming in, so you know, when I was there, it was kind of like, well, I got to do with that, and that. Plus, then a guy came in with a stick from a sports game. And it's like, well, I'm that guy too. But I'm hoping on pushing, you know, being able to get more content. But once we have this system, then we have availability to do it and be able to. The other thing we'd be able to do with this is to do live stream. You know, so that opens up the possibility of being able to do live streaming from kind of any location. So I mean, there's a lot of possibility. I think once we get that system in place, to then start trying to embrace the community and say, hey, you know, we've got all these options of things we can do now, you know, and I'm pushing at the school. I'm hoping at the school that I can have a connection there where Hibbing actually in their high school just started a program, a VOTEC program, that's kind of a communications. It's kind of coming back 40 years, really. But he's hoping, they've got a beautiful studio there of having high school kids come back and do production stuff in the studio of you know, city happenings and things like that, you know. Our school, even as new as it is, does not have a studio, but I think, you know, kind of pushing that to try to get more student-driven content from there is kind of the other component from the school.
Thank you.
I have a question, Rory.
Yeah.
So if we do the 5-year payment plan, I mean, is, after 5 years, are we just gonna finish paying for it? Are we gonna have to go and upgrade stuff again, or?
Well, we shouldn't have to upgrade because we're getting on the stage of, you know, it's kind of like a computer, okay, you know, so yeah, we'll have 5-year-old equipment, but the software, they would upgrade, you know, I mean, same problem like we're having with the computers in the library. I mean, anything Windows 7 is, you know, and what happens with a lot of that stuff too is that then it starts aging. What we're getting in at the best of what's there right now. I mean, the system that we've got, I think, just came out, I think it was last spring, so it's the newest of what they have, but by going with the 5-year contract, then we will have the upgrades of software and hardware, you know, for that 5 years. So, you know, if we take the financing all 5 years, it kind of companions up with what we're getting service for too, you know, but there's gonna be a need, just like there is, you know, for computers to probably upgrade. So either what we'd want to do after that point is probably look at maybe another service plan or something, you know, because
Technology will change so fast.
technology is changing pretty crazy, but like I said, we're at the best of where it is. Is it gonna be different in 5 years? Yeah, I'm sure it is, but what we would have now is gonna be pretty up to date, and capabilities is gonna be,
I should add that I took the quote that Rory had given for the full project and I added the $10,000 5-year maintenance plan on it, just so I could give like a worst case scenario to you guys. You don't have to take that extra $10,000 replacement or
Right, I mean, it's-
software plan, but you.
It's covered, I
don't
think,
know.
and I don't remember, one is covered for 1 year and one's covered for 2 years, but this would bring everything out to 5 years. So you're buying an additional 3 years and, 2 years or something to cover both hardware and software on there.
Which I think
And I
is-
checked with both financing, the bank and that Vantage, and if at the end of the fiscal year there's money available, definitely could be put towards that payment then, because, I mean, I don't think you bring forward anything that's left, so I mean, definitely whatever's in that budget, if there's still money there, before the turn of the fiscal year, then we push it in, and neither one has any kind of,
Penalty.
problem or penalty with that, so we could definitely apply whatever's there money-wise, but I kind of agree with Ted as far as not locking it in too much, because on the other token, I mean, we can push that money into it at the end, but then we still have that buffer there.
Just a little bit to work with, because we've been so tight with, we haven't had any budget for like 4 or 5 years. There's catch-up to be done on certain things.
And like I
Things
say,
that we like to
equipment,
finish in other places.
right, and like I say, equipment here for broadcasting would be nice too. That camera works good, but, the one, to be honest, the one that's tied in with the laptop for shooting that, is tied in with all those other cameras in town. Even like at Hibbing, they have a standalone system that this is the cameras to take care of the video of what's happening here, and it's a lot easier to get, you can get better quality with a camera like that than you can that internet-driven camera as far as quality-wise to be pushing out on the broadcast. And the other thing with this is we're gonna be able to push better quality, and I've been working with MediaCom too. We do have a little bit of issue as far as the quality of the picture on MediaCom, and they know that we were leaning this way, so he is gonna be coming around town here, kind of the next guy up the notch, not just the local guys, and they're gonna try to, check with the feed coming in and out of here to try to enhance too, because really for them, local content is really what the advantage that MediaCom has over Dish. I mean, so they're definitely willing, and I know they've lost a lot of customers. I mean, I look down the in-laws street and there's dishes all over, but I think this is gonna help, especially if we can get more school content, I mean, what's nice, I mean, a lot of people enjoy the church services, obviously, too. So the more we can heighten that local content, and I think Bill Carlson's gonna bring up too, like with Augustana, that local content and cable, that is their contact with the community. Most of those are not online, most of those residents, so it's gonna be a nice, I mean, it would fit right in with what's going on there, and the same thing with Vicki, with her Age to Age and Northland Foundation monies. Their vision for her next set of funding is to outreach to those people that are lonely and isolated. Well, it's kind of like, all of a sudden we've got this, and we've got the two ends there, and now we're gonna have something that we can really work good to bridge it, and I think we can really be a community that's ahead of the game of what, we can do for folks as far as bringing them, embracing them back into the community through technology.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Council, do we have questions, discussion, and/or motions?
So just to be clear, the only thing that I need today is a motion to go forward with financing. At the next meeting, I'll have a resolution from the bank if we decide to go that route, so.
Do you need to know the 4 years or 5 years?
Yep.
Today?
Yep.
I mean, if you decide to go with it, I mean, when I talked to Larry, I mean, he'd be able to move on it fairly soon, because the lag part is that they can't kind of order the equipment until we make a commitment. So, I mean, I guess I'd like to see if we're gonna go with it so that we could kind of hopefully move forward, because actually the money isn't due for 30 days. So I think if we can you know, approve the financing, I think we can move on, hopefully being able to get the equipment, because there's a little bit of time involved in getting all that stuff rolling too, if possible.
You can do that with a motion that once the finance is approved, so we don't have to wait till next month, that could be done.
I'll make a motion that we go with the First National Bank financing for the 5-year period.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussions, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carried. Then the next motion would be if the financing is approved and you have the documents you need, that we could order the equipment. That way we wouldn't have to wait till next month to order and then have another delay. And I know Rory's running into a problem with installation starting when he's trying to get all his farm business stuff done in the spring and trying to balance both of them at the same time, which would be really hard for him.
Well, I'll make a motion that if the financing is approved and go through it, to order the equipment.
Does that cover what you need, Katie?
I think so.
Okay.
Second that.
Second, you did? Okay, Doug, thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Thank you, Rory. Moving on to 6B, Mr. Carlson.
Thank you. We're going to reserve our comments strictly to keeping our senior citizen connected to the community. And I have with me Shauna Smith, who's the administrator for Augustana. And since they will be playing a role, I'll concede my time to Shauna because I know she's busy. Willing to give the presentation? Or answer questions? All right, I'll
Sure.
go first.
Well, I guess I'm here,
Shauna,
You can go up on
yeah.
I don't have much of a presentation, but my purpose today really is, hello, I'm Shauna Smith, I'm the administrator at Augustana and Moose Lake, and I brought along with me Barb, who is the Housing and Health Director at Oakview and Kenwood, our assisted livings. So we've been talking for some time with Mr. Carlson about this project, and I'm trying to get up to speed to understand what it is. But what I do get, the notion is that it's a way to keep our seniors connected to their community. And I cannot tell you the value for their emotional well-being and their mood and just the engagement piece of it that will have for them. So I'm trying to learn what my part is in this, how I can help, and from that point, just so if people have questions but in that part, I'm just trying to be educated on what's going on. So.
Sure, I know this has been probably part of the long-term goals for many, many years, and as years have gone on with different boards, different people come and go, things have changed, and we never got that one element completed to get outreach into the community that we wanted originally, and hopefully we're getting closer to getting all that done. And I know Bill, who's been a fantastic advocate for all this for years, has helped it get to this point where we are, and that would be nice to have that into Augustana.
Yeah, and there's a lot of grants available to me too for this type of work, and especially with keeping seniors connected to the community. So as they learn more, there's potential for media grants to help out in some way or to figure out what you need, what the needs are. So whenever this topic comes up and you need me, just let me know.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
You know, Bill, if it's too hard for you, just stay where
Oh,
you're
that's
at.
fine.
Are you sure?
I don't know. I have my seat with me. I drop down, you know, I think.
You got a nurse by us, so I
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to reserve my comments to the fact, you should have in your packet a volume of background information. So we're going to just discuss the fact that you know that our senior citizens are the only segment of our population that is not currently connected to the city's community-wide digital messaging system. It's interesting to know that my kids know more about what's going on in Moose Lake than I do. And as Ted kind of remarked, I've been involved, wrote the RFP for bringing cable to the community. I've been involved as a statewide task force committee that brought broadband to the cities. And as talk about constantly, I made a promise to Carol that I would make sure when we moved her into assisted living facility, she would remain connected to the committee, or to the community. And what I'm going to reference back to is last month, Ted gave this presentation, and we had hoped that we would get started in 2019. But it's interesting to hear your discussions, you know, that commitment was not fulfilled or honored last year. So I want to quickly go through this. And the first step was the cable franchise fees, and that's been taken care of. That was designed for the benefit of the cable viewers. A real important step is the rule of operation. Operations should be revisited as they control the content of the community access channels. This is an extremely important feature. In public access now is social media. Anybody can put anything on that they want, and then it ends up in my house, right? Then I gotta try to get rid of it. But when you talk about what I refer to now as community access, you as a city council have complete control over what the content is on this system. It's guaranteed by the right-of-way, and that's why we drafted a right-of-way ordinance, which gives you the authority to make the final determination of what can or cannot be put on the local access channel. That's a huge, huge benefit for this community. The other issue, the third one on here, was we need to complete the periodic review. Now, I had the opportunity to talk to some members of the Historical Society, and one of the issues they have is they don't have the broadband capability there to be connected to the system that you just approved. And in our cable ordinance, it states that they can provide, we can ask for a periodic review because there are changes. And one of the changes that we had in the public hearing was that we needed a free cable modem service connecting the Historical Society. That is in our ordinance. We have one now at the school, the library, we have one here at the public library. And now that you have committed the 70,000 plus, my God, that's an easy sell to go to the MediaCom and tell them we want a free communication, our media drop, not media, but internet drop in the library. No cost to them or to us. It's just a matter of, once the public hearing was conducted, the city administrator at that time was supposed to submit that request to MediaCom. I don't know if that happened or not.
I don't think so, Bill. But
Oh,
we're
no,
at a
you-
point now where,
You gotta get on
Yeah.
top of that.
yeah, we're at a good place right now.
Right. The fourth step was to finish what we started at the Historical Society Museum and Sioux Line Event Center. That is about 70% complete, or 70, 75.
Yeah.
And it's been put on hold. If you go back when that building was first built, community volunteers completely wired that building. So it was ready for communications and local community access. And it's been on, how many years is that now?
Well, it's been 4
20
or
years.
5 years now.
Oh, when they built the building.
Yeah,
We put this in before the sheet rock was even put up.
yeah.
And they've been waiting, and it was interesting, now we got a little competition going between Rory's presentation and mine. I'm saying that all that Pelco equipment was purchased by public access funds. And when you took it out of here, you should have not stored it on the floor in the electrical utility room. Put it up there in the historical society and let's finish what they started. I agree with what Rory said. It's better quality than what you're using here today.
Yeah.
So, that's gonna be your decision.
Yeah.
It is still continually being serviced by Arrowhead Radio and Security. There are installations that were put in this city using that Pelco system within the last 3 years. So how we not take advantage of that, I don't know.
Roy and I have already talked about it and went back and found it and looked at it.
Isn't that a shame between you and me, right?
So we know where it is.
Under my watch, I've been all over this place.
We know where it is and,
Isn't
yeah,
that a shame? Well, that, I would say that's probably $15,000 or more investment there.
yeah.
And it's better served up there at the Historical Society than on the floor over in this building.
Sure.
Enough said about that. The other thing is that, what Rory's talking about is that the next step is to get the community involved. We do not, meaning myself, Augustana, or Rory determine what the system, and we have to ask the people. You gotta get the people involved. To me, that's always been the Moose Lake way. You always go to the people first. And, we gotta bring that back.
You know the attempt to do that community-based committee, several attempts have been made, but we got no volunteers. And I'll probably be talking about that in the next couple of months to try that again.
Right.
But we have not been able to get any volunteers to sit on that committee, and it's probably because people don't understand it. I'm not sure why, Bill, but I think what we tried, but, and I agree, it'd be nice to have that community-based committee to work with.
Right.
That's important to keep that community involved with the whole thing.
I a lot of times think outside of the box, but
Yeah,
I know that there's been attempts, but there's never been an attempt to post it on the local access channel.
well,
Isn't it something?
that can be done.
I know it can be done. I mean, this belief that you'd be asking for a cable commission and you don't post it you put it on social media
Yeah,
and you put it in the paper, but we don't put it on our own channel.
yeah. We had done the boards too, but, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't putting it on the local channel.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
the first place you
Yeah.
could put it. Almost any public notice that's done by the city should be posted on the channel. It never is. It's all these other locations, but you'll never see it on the local. You answer that question, I can't.
Well, one thing that would be nice for the new system, the capability, it would be a lot easier to do all that work. And it can be done from multiple locations, not just one,
Right.
which would be, well, it'll enhance it so much that they're not even compatible. It'll be good.
So, with this new proposal that is going to allow that video streaming over the internet and improve quality of the public access channel is tremendous. That goes back to the original memorandum of understanding that the library had with the city back in 2011. We were going to have an orderly transition from an analog system to a digital system. The flood of 2012, Ted knows what I mean, exposed the inadequacies of that system, and we pushed it fast forward. In 2018, Steve Olson and I came before this committee, we had a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity to broadcast and promote the commemorative events of the 1918 fire. Asked, pleaded with you to provide, to finish it so we could do that. It never happened. And that's why I'm saying this last year, it's never happened. Don't let it go on. Wait till you pay 5 years to pay this other one down to bring this back. Don't wait that long. Some of us don't have that kind of time anymore. So I'll open for questions. I don't want to carry this on too far. So if anybody's got any questions, I certainly can answer them.
I took notes while you were talking, so I'm good to, I took notes while you were talking of your points, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate all the work that you've done for this city and getting this far. I don't think that there's anybody in the area that knows more about this than you do, that's for sure. I think it would be wise of the council to listen to your advice. I think it would be good to be getting more people active in this. Right now, it's just Rory and you that have been working on this. If we had some public input, there would be more content to put up on there. There'd be more ideas out there. And I realize that nobody had joined that committee, but that maybe we could try to do it again and try to get more people involved with this process so we can have more contact with the city and just get more stuff out there, get more things on the channels.
Thanks, Walt, for that. I need to let you know that it was Walt that came with me to the Family Council and presented this idea to Augustana, hopefully that we can use them to take a leadership role. Because I don't know of anyone around here that won't support their senior citizens, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
The final point you brought up, Sean, was the ability to get grants, and I think that we need to have a very real discussion because that could save money for other connections if we are able to get those funds, so.
Thanks, Bill, appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to finish by reading a quote that's in what's referred to as step 2 when we try to get Augustana involved. As a community, we can do no better by honoring our current residents for their past contributions and providing a free access link, allowing them to remain engaged in our community today. That says it all.
Yeah,
That says it all.
very good.
Thank you for your time.
All right.
Patience with me over all the years.
One more statement, totally unrelated. And it's interesting that, like Hibbing schools talk about putting together in their school something that you built in the 1980s and had in our high school, the old school, up and running that far back. And we're so far advanced. And now these schools are just looking at doing what you did back then. That tells us how far ahead you've been in all this, Bill, in supporting this community, and that's a lot. Benefited so many students and people that, you know, it's a grateful thing to you, that's for sure.
Just, you know, I guess I have a comment for every statement. But Ted knows what I'm talking about. He knows Frank Brifra.
Yeah.
Frank Brifra built that system in Hibbing and sold it. The reason is Brifra was big into the FCC, right?
Yep.
Airports.
Yes.
So we go back a long ways. I have a lot of connections.
That's right.
Thanks for what you've done, Ted. Been there for me for every day.
No, well, you have to have somebody that runs kind of the headshot, that's you, so it's easy to support somebody when you're from behind, and so, no.
I appreciate it.
Deserve all
Thank you for
deserve all
your
the credit.
time, and hopefully you'll take action on helping our senior citizens get connected. Thank you.
Thank you. And Bill, you're welcome to stay, or you can, or all of you can stay or leave as you please. And we'll move on. Moving on to new business, 7A, the 2020 Local Board of Appeals and Equalization meeting will be held April 23rd, 2020. Katie, do you have any?
This is one that we lost, the right to have our own meeting. So Kyle Holmes will come down here, and do it, on April 23rd, 2020. If anybody is welcome to come, just let me know so I can post it. I thought it was on this note. I have it up in my office. I want to say it's 1 o'clock. But I can let you guys know that for sure. But I have to post it as an open meeting, so as many of you guys that want to come can come. But I'll send an email out and let you guys know. I thought I said it in
You
here.
don't have to have a quorum, but it would still be nice if we did.
Yeah, it'd be nice if a couple showed up.
And is that because none of us have
Got certified, so we lost it for 2 years last year and then this year. So then next year we'll be able to be eligible again.
And Tim was the one other person that did the training, but it didn't count.
Yeah, I don't think that counts.
Has to be a
Yeah.
council member.
Yep.
So we'll have to get the training done this coming year. So a note for everyone on April 23rd, and we'll
Yep.
email the time out.
Yep, I'll get the time off.
Moving on to 7B, motor vehicle office renovation, the cabinets.
So there's a quote in your packet for cabinets made by Mincor. This is coming from the money that the state reimbursed us. And the reason why they're renovating the office is because it's not very efficient the way that it is, and it was built for 2 staff, and we now have 3 days a week, we have 3 staff, so they're gonna be reconfiguring it a little bit to work better for the 3 staff.
Where's the money coming from?
From last year, we got money back from the state for all of the overtime expenses from, I forgot, the motor vehicle software.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problems they've had with the software.
Is, this is just for the cabinets, or does this include
Cabinets and countertops.
cabinets and countertop? And
Yep.
not the flooring installation?
Nope, that's later on.
Where would this money be spent if we didn't spend it here?
Can't, because
You
it's
can't,
motor
it's just for
vehicle.
motor vehicle, yeah.
Okay, so this is.
It's kind of dedicated money, you can't use it for.
This money isn't necessarily coming out of the city's budget?
General fund, no. It's coming out of the motor vehicle fund.
And that money has to be spent at the motor vehicle?
It was that Minlar
Minlars, that's what it was.
software issues they had that drove everybody's
Cost us,
costs up and.
what, 200 and some million, and
It
it
didn't
never
work.
worked,
Yeah.
which was horrible. You need a motion?
I do.
Is there any other questions in our motion? Further questions or discussion?
What's the total?
15 to 35.
Make a motion that the repairs be made for 15,235
These are replacements.
replacements.
Have a second?
Second.
Any further questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to 7C. I didn't skip anything, did I? No.
Nope.
Motor vehicle office renovation painting.
So this is going to come out of those same funds. This is for painting, basically patching and painting the entire DMV. I should mention that the DMV will be closed during this renovation time, because they're gonna have to replace, later on, carpet and that kind of thing, so, they were thinking the week of March 9th or March 16th, but when that gets finalized with contractors, I will put something out for sure, but yeah, painting for $13.50, that includes door frames, patching.
How long will this be?
I don't know. I don't know. In my head, I think a week, but I don't know how long. I'd like to be able to get the painting done on a weekend, so then that doesn't interfere with the flooring or anything like that, so.
Any further questions and or motion?
Make a motion, we accept the painting bid for $13.50 for the motor vehicle.
Second.
Any other questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to 7D, motor vehicle office renovation cabinet / countertop / flooring installation.
I reached out, I should say also, I reached out to a few different places for the painting and the installation, and I only heard back from one contractor for each. So Cousins is willing to install the cabinetry, the floor tiles, and the countertops, and then take out what we're not going to be using anymore.
Does this quote include the floor tiles?
Yep.
And this all still fits in with that same budget?
Yeah, I think we got 35,000 back from that.
I'll make a motion, we accept the Cousins bill for $8,855 for the demo, installation, cleanup of the DMV project.
Very good. You have a second?
I'll second it.
Any other questions, discussion?
Yeah, all this money has to be used on infrastructure or taking care of the building. It's not for staffing or anything?
No, it's not for
I
staffing.
just wanted to make sure. That's all I got.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. I think that takes care of all the renovation stuff for DMV.
Yep.
Very good. Welcome to stay or leave. Moving on to 7E, Resolution 20.02.01, appoint election judges. And this is on page 74.
And this one is just for the presidential primary coming up on March 3rd. Had a heck of a time finding people. Everybody's on vacation.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 individuals to approve as election judges.
I'll make a motion that we pass resolution number 20.02.01.
You have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to 7F, police chief job description. This is on page 75, and then after that, staffing question or discussion.
So we had met on the 27th to discuss the police chief job description. We made the changes that we had discussed, and this is the final product.
Any questions by the council?
It appears that the changes were made that we had talked about, so.
Do we have a motion to accept the job description?
So move.
A second?
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And we have Mr. Lauer with staffing discussion.
Well, yeah, like 3 months ago, I brought up at a meeting about having the city look into seeing what the cost savings would be if we went back to not patrolling all night long. And I had several discussions with Tim after that, and he said that he would look into that, but unfortunately, he never did. So I'm kind of wondering where that stands at the city. We did have an agreement here at the meeting that we would have the city look into that, see what the cost savings would be for that. And with us finding out recently that we're going to have another $40,000 more in costs for the police department, I think it is even more important to look into that, what the cost savings would be. Like I said previously, I don't know how I would vote on that, but I am interested in looking into that and seeing what the cost savings would be, and seeing if Carleton County would be interested in patrolling Moose Lake during nighttime. I see they are here already at sometimes during the night. I don't really know how they go about handling that. I'm not in the law enforcement business, obviously.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What are you envisioning as far as you're envisioning less time that the officers would be there, so it wouldn't be a 24/7 police department? What are you envisioning for the ending time and the starting time again?
I don't know what that would be. You know, we'd have to discuss that here as the counselor, as a council. You know, maybe Chris could answer this.
How it used to be?
How it used to be, what times they got done and what times they started at, but I would be opening to listening to anybody's opinions on that. If we could this you know, find out what the county says, find out what the savings would be, and then see if this is something that we are actually interested in doing or not.
Okay, and then the second thing that you talked about, the county, if we do not have a police department at any point at any time coverage, the county is bound by law to take that over. That doesn't mean that they're going to have somebody here. They could be out in Cromwell, they could be in Holyoke. But there is no extra cost to the citizens.
Okay.
So there's nothing like that.
Yeah, that's one question that I had. I didn't really know how they handle that. And so I am interested in that. I'm also still interested in reaching out to the state to see if there's any way that we can get any funding from the state to help cover our costs. I think we all are in agreement that it is kind of unfair for the state to make the taxpayers of Moose Lake fund the patrolling up there when they need the police officers over there, when they are state prisoners. You know, they kind of put that responsibility on us. And I was wondering, you know, if we could reach out to some of our representatives, or what the proper procedures would be to start a discussion with the state on that issue. They may be a dead set against it, but you don't know until you reach out to them and ask them. Actually, I think Jeff brought that up at one of our meetings here when one of our representatives came here and saw us at the Lazy Moose over there, whether or not this, you know, brought up the fact that, you know, maybe the state should look into helping us out with funding, because it is the largest part of our budget. It keeps growing, and that we have new costs, and I'd just like to know what the county and the state would have to say about these issues.
Well, at one time, the state was going to pay for an officer, and then we backed out.
That was my understanding, and I
Yes.
thought maybe that they decided to give some money to Carleton County instead. I believe Ted had mentioned,
They are receiving that for lawyer fees.
and they still are.
As far as staffing, I guess I would like to see, once the new chief is hired, what ideas they have. Obviously in the summer, you know, maybe 24 hours is probably better because there's more activity than in the winter. But I think that's something we'd have to sit down and figure out how scheduling would go and.
I'm open to all those ideas.
You know, and I think once a new chief comes in, there'll be lots of things for them to sit down and, because I would like to see the budget reduced too, so. But I think that's the opportunity when the chief is hired to sit down and figure that out with staffing down there, their staff, talk to the officers, maybe they have ideas. But yeah, as far as the county, I mean, that's what we pay our taxes for. They have to cover us and the state. They were going to pay at one time. That's why we went and hired another officer, and then they backed out of that, so.
We do have
We've had some.
a few new people in St. Paul, so maybe they would be more acceptable to an idea like this.
I mean, it would be interesting to find out how many hours a year we spend up at MSO DOC. I know we have it monthly on our thing, but, I mean, some months, probably not as many as others. I mean, but I do know we do spend time up there, and, yeah, we're a small town tax base for a state facility.
I understand what, you know, the concern by everyone on this issue. And I think it'd be smart to get the police chief on board here. I would even like to have the position of administrator permanently filled to be part of that discussion also, because there's other issues that an administrator would want to probably have input on if we're gonna make major changes. I know that pushes it back again. We're talking maybe 3 months. But I think I'd like to have both of them permanently filled before we make any changes.
I think that's a good thought process. I'm, like I said, willing to listen to you guys. I like your ideas.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're willing to talk with me about this. But I just don't want it to be forgotten
Right.
and put off, and by Tim not taking action on it, and it just happened to be right when he's leaving too, so.
I don't think he wanted to start anything he couldn't finish,
Yeah.
You
so.
can put it on the agenda each month if you want to have it reoccurring, and then it's not going to be forgotten.
Okay.
And I think we all know for years, you know, the budget's just climbed and climbed, and we've had concerns, and I think now with the change of the police chief and the city administrator, it is a great time to sit down and forward those concerns.
Okay.
Okay, have consensus then from everyone? Greg? Consensus? All right. Thank you. Moving on to 7G, the Moose Lake Post-Prom donation request. I believe that is on page 78.
Just for reference, we do have $3,850 in the contribution fund, specifically for items like this. In the past, we've donated $300 to the post-prom.
Make a motion that we donate $300 to post-prom.
Have a second? Is that Chris?
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 7H, Legacy of Excellence donation request.
And this program, I know very little to nothing about. I got this from Elaine, they dropped it off for her, so she forwarded it on to me, so I don't know if anybody has.
Creative innovation programs in School District 97, which enable individuals to reach their full potential as learners, participants, citizens, artists, athletes, contributors to our community. The foundation also awards scholarship monies to students who impact our community and influence our school district. Legacy of Excellence provides resources for unique experiences and special opportunities that enrich the learning experience. Did they have a specific amount in
No.
mind? So
So, I guess I'm a little confused. So is this just a foundation that awards scholarships, or?
I have no idea, I don't know if it's a
Yeah,
new,
funding would include
group.
playgrounds.
Supports creative
sounds like
innovation
it's-
programs.
Maybe she could come in and give a little
I
presentation.
can add just a little information, because I filmed their fundraiser
Okay.
at the school. It is new, just started this year, and they are looking at, I think their first fundraiser priority is to try to add some funds for that new playground for the little kids that never got through with the school. But they are looking at kind of outreach programs, scholarships for some kids to be able to be involved in other things. So I mean, it's kind of, they have multiple different things, but I know their first priority was, like the fundraiser up there, they had silent auction, and they had, I think they call it Family Fun Day, where they, had open gym and games and things. I mean, it was a nice, actually pretty well attended up there too. But they are brand new. I think they've got a Facebook page, they're looking at, putting a website together and things too, but kind of formed to meet the needs. And they went nonprofit like that so that they can have the opportunity of donating towards school stuff, I think, to make that all work that way. And to, I think, kind of fill some of the voids of not having that other referendum passed too. I mean, kind of helping out some of those issues, so.
Thank you, Rory, appreciate that.
so it is affiliated with the school. I don't know, it just got dropped off on my desk, so.
Sounds like a wide range of activities for our students in the community. I don't have a problem with that since we have 3,800, well, 3,500 now. Which money has to be donated to things within our community. I would probably suggest what we did to the post-prom, a dollar amount. I don't think we need to be any more than that.
I just wish we would have had a presentation to know a little bit more about what
Yeah.
we're spending
You certainly
citizens'
can
money
ask
on.
that.
I guess I would rather table it for next month and get them here, but
Sure. I can reach
Sure.
out to them.
And the amount that they're asking for by being zero there.
Sure. So we have consensus to table and request someone to come and speak to the council. Very good, thank you. You get that note?
Yep.
Moving on to 7-9 Moose Lake Area Chamber of Commerce donation request, which is on page
81.
81.
This is the same thing that they always request for. I think there might be one new event. Maybe they're asking for ice bocce now. I can't remember. But yeah, every year, yeah.
The dollar amount is the same, I think.
Yep.
Even if they have another one, it's still the same amount. Any questions and or motion for support?
I'll make that motion for $800.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to 7J Sturgeon Lake Lions gambling permit. This is the normal one that we have done year after year.
Yep, they want to do a raffle, I think during the fishing contest that Moose Lake Brewing is putting on.
Right.
I make the motion to approve the Sturgeon Lake Lions gambling permit.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 7K RFP for garage on new well site. And you have a hand up. It's-
Yes.
We have it. What
The
is
next-
RFP?
Request for proposal, but this isn't really a request for proposal, kind of. This is what I put together. Matt Wolf had sent me some examples from previous places that he has done something similar. I kind of geared it towards our project. What we're wanting to do is get that garage out of there, and we would like to have somebody purchase it, and then they are in charge of moving it. This isn't the final document, but I'm hoping to get approval on it, so that we can post it as soon as I get back some information from Matt. But this is the gist of it.
Any other questions by the council?
I just have a question for my own. Will the electricity and everything be disconnected from that?
I
as
don't even know
well?
if it doesn't have any.
Okay, so it'll just be the person who wins the bid will just have to come scoop it up and,
Move it, yep.
okay.
Scoop it and move it.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there any, I know, you probably know what I'm gonna say, is there any use that the city could have for this building if it was moved? Rather than building a new building that size?
Yes. However, where are we gonna put it? It is quite large. It's literally it takes
36 by 48.
And where it is at,
Mhm.
it's gonna be pretty
Hard to-
expensive. I mean, it's possible, but
I just can see what the questions are gonna come from the public, is you had a building 36 by 48, why did you not? I think it's important to let the public know that it's not feasible, how much would it cost to move it, what would it cost to take it down and then put it back up, you know? Those are the things I think that we just need to do our due diligence on.
And that was quite a discussion at the engineering meeting, we'll see exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, the idea Tim had also is he wanted to use that money, put it right back into
To help fund the water.
the well project. The well project.
Which would be good.
And the reason why I have an April 15th deadline is because that's what the engineers requested, was it was moved around. They wanted March 31st, but I talked to Phil and he said April is probably better for that.
Wait,
So-
yeah, I mean, are like road restrictions off at that point?
so that probably won't be heavy enough to have any issues with that.
Oh.
Road restriction is done by weight, not by the size of.
Okay. Good check.
That's all right, that's fine, that's your job.
Very good. We need a motion for this.
Yes.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Do you have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Going on to 7L interim.
Yeah.
Okay, that's, we are gonna close for that.
Yeah, so do that
So
one.
we will, L we will do after we complete the other items on the agenda. Under 7M, baseball nets.
You guys have some pictures. These are Giles. He does have this budgeted in his capital, and he needs 2 of each of them, and the total is $1,937.94. And they are for,
This is an item they put in the budget last fall and then approved in December.
And
This is what he came forward with.
This is for,
they're baseball nets,
yeah, but for the high school to practice?
the baseball association. They practice there in the spring when it's too snowy.
Would they be paying for it?
He requested that they pay for part of them even, and he hadn't heard anything back, but he wanted to get them ordered so that they're ready. I kind of thought the same thing.
It's all the baseball programs, not just the youth and the high school kids, all of them. It's, it'd be like anyone else using the arena, hockey association or baseball or watching, what do they have, that one that comes in with the paddles?
Pickleball?
Yeah, they have a pickleball night when the ice is out, obviously, but.
I don't know if you remember when it was discussed in the fall, in September, when we went through the budget, that those, Kyle had them in the budget request. And then we did approve them. Actually, we did approve this in December.
It just seems to me it should be some of the school's responsibility.
I think he did take, some things from the school, if I remember correctly.
He
He
saved
did
it.
save some equipment from the school when they moved.
Yeah, when the
So-
whole school, they left stuff, so he went down and did, take this, as much equipment as he could.
As he could use, yeah. Jerry?
Any discussion, questions, and their motion? Well, I'll do a motion to purchase a baseball nets that stated in the bid. Do we have a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
Any other discussion or questions?
I think that we should reach out back to the school. I don't think that we should be paying for this.
Do we rent that space for them when they want to use it?
Yeah, I mean, are we gonna, charge them when they come in there?
I don't know if that's included in the, their hockey or their
This isn't
hockey.
hockey.
I don't know. I really don't.
I think in the past, we have allowed the school to come in and use stuff when we don't have anyone in there, like they have used it for FIADs and they've used it for, I don't think we charge the people that come in with the handball thing for renting it. We just allow them to come in, he sets up for them. This would probably be the same thing, allowing it to be used by youth. Well, it's up to the council.
No,
But if you
and
start
just,
that,
yes, I'm confused because we charge the hockey association to,
well, then you better be ready to charge people to do the paddleball too.
well, I don't know if they do or not.
They don't?
I can contact the school. I just know Guile wanted to get these because the ice is coming out in March. So he just wanted to get them ready for baseball, so he's not scrambling when they're trying to use it. But I will contact the school and see if he can contact the baseball association. He said he hadn't got back any word from the baseball association, so. But I'll
Did the
contact the school.
Well, you probably wouldn't know, probably Tim would have been on. I don't think the school, we've ever charged the school for using it.
I don't remember
like
seeing
FIADs
anything.
or
No, I don't.
Like for open skating, we don't charge.
Well, the kids pay for open
They
skating.
do when they come
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, but the school pays a lease for hockey. I don't know if that is included with baseball. I couldn't imagine it would be, but I don't know.
Yeah. I think we have allowed it to public use.
But we are purchasing, it's like we're purchasing bats and balls and things for the high school program.
No bats and balls, it'd be just.
I know it's the nets, but I mean, for the function of what they need to do, we're using taxpayer money, whether it's allocated for that or not, to buy high school equipment,
I understand.
is what I see in
Yeah.
this.
And maybe you guys missed it in the budget, we probably should have had this last September when he put it in the budget. And Tim went over that I'll put this in, but maybe people didn't understand what he meant by batting cage nets.
I heard him talk about netting, I do recall that, but
Yeah.
it was an oversight by mine.
We can table this and if it runs later, they'll have to, but we'll have to see how that goes, because we'll just wait till that discussion. No use putting in stuff we don't even know about yet. We can table it if that's what you're asking. And have,
I'd like them to pay for half, I don't even know why we're paying for any, but I mean, for the public good, if little kids are gonna come in there and use it and they're not part of the school, it's a summer program or something, yes, it's a community building, I'm fine with that, but I just don't see why we're paying for all of it. That's all.
I'll contact the school and I'll see. I don't know who does the baseball association, but I can.
I think the way to go is to go through Guile and have Guile make the connections and see, and have him come back and talk to us next council meeting.
Yeah, I'm not against, again, us helping out.
Because since it's his budget item, why not have him? I think what he's doing is just trying to enhance the use of the
Yep.
arena, trying to be proactive and trying to expand its use and stuff. Okay, so moving on, so we got two items that will come back. I have nothing under reports and correspondence. Community and board meeting minutes, we have 9A is the January 6, 2020 park and Parks and Recreation minutes. B, we have the February 3rd, 2020 Parks and Recreation minutes. C is the December 10, 2019 Moose Lake Area Fire Protection District minutes. D, December 17th, 2019 Moose Lake Area Fire District Protection District minutes, excuse me. And E, the December 17th, 2019 Moose Lake Water and Light Commission minutes. Any discussion or questions on the minutes?
I got something to bring up on the fire department there. They are going to be putting in a bid for a aerial ladder truck. It's a 1997. They say that it's been maintained well. They have all the maintenance records on it. And so they voted to put a bid in on it. I don't know if I really want to give out the information how much the bids were, but you people could ask me after the meeting. I don't really want the other companies, whoever bid on it knows what they're bidding. I'm sure I should give that information on,
Well, it also looks like they're planning on a 1% levy.
yes, 1% levy that was voted on, yeah.
Very good, thank you. No other questions or discussion? Thanks, everyone. Moving on to announcements. Regular Moose Lake City Council meeting Wednesday, March 11th at 4 p.m. The Moose Lake Economic Development Authority, Wednesday, March 11th at 12 p.m.
That one got changed. We're now going to be meeting on the third Wednesday of each month due to the chamber moving their monthly meeting.
Third Wednesday.
Yep, so it'll be on the 18th instead of the 11th.
Okay, that'll be each month from now on.
Yep.
Very good. Moose Lake Water Light Commission, regular meeting Tuesday, February 18th, 3 p.m. It's at the Water and Light office. Moose Lake Housing Redevelopment Authority Board, Monday, March 9th, 11 a.m., Hillside Manor office. Moose Lake Area Fire District, Tuesday, March 10th at 6:30 p.m. at the Emergency Response Center. Moose Lake Park Board meeting Monday, March 2nd, 6:30 p.m. right here in the Library Board meeting, March 9th, 1 p.m. in the City Conference Room. Before we adjourn for the closed portion, okay, we approved the position description for the police chief, and we didn't discuss posting the position.
So we discussed posting it at the special meeting, and I will post it in all those locations that we had talked about. How long would you like to post it? 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Was the discussion 3 weeks then, or was it longer?
Yeah, I think-
Christie,
I think it was at least.
I think we first mentioned 4 weeks, and then we said 3 weeks to post it.
So
and
3?
Then
And
we'll
then we'll
have
go
to
from
meet
there.
again for all the things come in, we go through the screening
Mhm.
and stuff. Process them.
Thanks for
So
getting
that'll
that.
go out ASAP?
Yep.
Okay, just so the community knows and council knows and they're all in agreement and, okay. Very good. With that, we have to have a motion to close the regular meeting to go into
Closed session.
a closed session.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Okay, we're